Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
School members brought information to us.
Police say a teacher in Greater Victoria has been charged with sexual exploitation and child luring. Plus,
we have to make sure that we are building below market housing at a scale that makes sure we don't have people sleeping in the streets.
a former Vancouver mayor will lead the federal effort to build hundreds of thousands of new homes every year. More on who's in and out of Mark Carney's new cabinet. And
$150,000 for 6 months of work on the backs of our most vulnerable people on the downtown east side.
why did BC's premier hire a former Ontario cabinet minister to help address the problems in one of Canada's poorest neighborhoods?
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Mark Carney has unveiled his new cabinet in a swearing-in ceremony at Rideau Hall in Ottawa. There are 28 ministers and 10 secretaries of state. It includes a mix of veteran MPs and new faces. Evan Dyer has our top story.
Ready to go.
For most of the ministers named today, this was a case of back to work. But there were some new faces and many lateral moves. Two of the most fraught portfolios will go to cabinet newcomers, housing and energy. Former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson will be the new housing minister. Vancouver is widely considered to have Canada's worst big city housing struggles, possibly making its former mayor a controversial choice. Ontario MP Tim Hodgson will take on the energy portfolio, with Western frustration over the lack of pipelines at an all-time high.
Canadians elected us with a mandate for change. So there is a great deal of change in this cabinet.
But there's less change around the most important issue Mark Carney was elected to deal with: Trump trade, tariffs and annexation threats. People who accompanied Carney to the White House last week will mostly remain engaged, but in different posts. David McGuinty will go to defence with a mandate to rapidly grow the armed forces. Melanie Joly goes from foreign affairs to industry. She'll be replaced as foreign minister by former defence minister Anita Anand. There are no fewer than 3 trade ministers. Dominic LeBlanc will remain engaged on US-Canada trade. Chrystia Freeland, unpopular with the Trump administration, will be in charge of internal trade in Canada. And Ontario MP Maninder Sidhu will oversee Canada's trade with the rest of the world. Finance, traditionally considered the top role in cabinet, goes to François-Philippe Champagne, who's held the foreign, trade and industry portfolios.
We have to address this crisis with the Americans, and we have to address the very real challenges in our economy, and we will do that.
Pierre Poilievre initially sounded a bipartisan note in his first reaction to the new cabinet, but that soon changed.
So far, it's not a promising start. The first disappointment is, unfortunately, his cabinet. He appointed Trudeau's old team and Trudeau's old advisors.
Poilievre took aim at several individual cabinet ministers, including Champagne, Sean Fraser and Stephen Guilbeault, holdovers from the Trudeau era who he blamed for housing shortages, anemic growth and failure to develop Canada's resources. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, as we saw, Ottawa's new 38-person cabinet includes some representation from here in BC. 2 MPs are ministers, 3 secretaries of state. Chad Pawson has more on who's in and who's out.
Former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson in Ottawa in the federal cabinet, a star candidate for Vancouver Fraserview South Burnaby, now responsible for housing. Joining him is Delta's Jill McKnight, another new MP tasked with Veterans Affairs, also Associate Minister of National Defence. Local BC politicians say the province is well represented and will have influence.
I think BC is seen in the country as a very important player when it comes to solving some of our greatest challenges. 5 in BC, I think, is a good representation and speaks to the important role that we play on the West Coast.
There's also 3 secretaries of state from BC. Longtime Surrey Centre MP Randeep Sarai for International Development. Stephanie McLean, elected in Esquimalt Saanich Sooke, is a Secretary of State for Seniors. And Kelowna's Stephen Fuhr, a former military pilot, will serve as Secretary for Defence Procurement. BC's Housing Minister says he's pleased with the BC representation in the federal cabinet. He already has demands for Minister Robertson. He wants Ottawa to connect federal funding to the number of new permanent permanent residents that come to each province.
We need to ensure that there's fair infrastructure dollars being made available to communities throughout British Columbia. We need to ensure that there's investments being made in affordable housing, Indigenous housing, replacing SROs. So the list is long.
Notably absent from Mark Carney's cabinet is North Vancouver Capilano's Jonathan Wilkinson. He was a stalwart of Justin Trudeau's government, holding several positions: energy and natural resources, fishery and oceans, and environment and climate change. Wilkinson posted a lengthy response on social media about not being named to cabinet, not sour grapes, but a list of his achievements and perhaps a challenge to his new cabinet. Wealth must be created, not merely redistributed, he says. A thriving, growing economy fuels the programs and protections that define our way of life, and importantly, in the long run, no economy, no society can flourish without an unwavering commitment to environmental sustainability. The new cabinet in Ottawa will hold its first meeting on Wednesday, and while devising a plan to bolster this country's economy and balance U.S.-Canada relations, it will also need to look inward to understand regional needs and how to help provinces like BC thrive. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
So as you can see, Canada's new housing minister is a familiar face to many people in our province. As Justin McElroy explains, Gregor Robertson's record on housing is the main reason for debate as he moves from mayor to federal minister.
Gregor Robertson, he's back in cabinet form.
He brings the type of experience that we need to tackle some aspects of this problem.
That was Mark Carney on Tuesday morning, explaining his decision to make Gregor Robertson the Minister of Housing. That experience, of course, is being Mayor of Vancouver from 2008 to 2018. And not surprisingly, Robertson thinks that experience was a positive.
We did everything we could do as a city in my 10 years as mayor.
But there's a reason people soured on his Vision Vancouver party as soon as Robertson left. You can debate the legacy of Robertson on the city of Vancouver as a whole, but on housing, the tangible difference to residents is clear. Here are some charts. On the price to buy a home, on the price to rent a home, on the number of people on the streets, figures went up while Robertson was mayor, by quite a lot. And in his last weeks in power, when he was asked if he bore any responsibility, he said this.
I think it's easy to just blame City Hall and blame me. That's just the way it goes. We're on the front lines of this. I wish we had had more tools to do more.
It is true that City Halls only have so much power. But now he has those tools, and people that sat next to him at City Council have high expectation he'll use them well.
He did everything he could in that regard, but it wasn't sufficient. And I don't think that we were candid enough about the limits. Now the federal government is in, Gregor Robertson is the housing minister. He doesn't have that excuse.
That is Jeff Meggs, who sat on council with Robertson's Vision Vancouver team and later served as John Horgan's chief of staff. And he says he'll be watching to see how quickly he can get the federal government's money moving to tangible, affordable housing projects without being bogged down.
I think he's got to figure out those design issues very, very quickly and then persuade a lot of important people that it will work. I mean, it can be done very quickly. As we saw during COVID, huge projects can happen fast, but will they?
So there's optimism. And if he's successful, it will be a remarkable story. A former mayor who moves to Ottawa, takes on the issue that challenged him the most, and proves successful for all Canadians. And if he isn't, well, Vancouverites already know how that story ends. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
To other news now, a teacher on Vancouver Island has been charged with numerous crimes after investigations into allegations of sexual interactions with students. The Saanich Police Department says 36-year-old Marnie Burnham has been charged with 3 counts of sexual exploitation and 2 counts of child luring. They say Burnham was also known as Marnie Forain, and there were multiple victims.
School members brought information to us that a teacher in our school district had inappropriate sexual contact with students. And based on that information, we launched a criminal investigation where multiple victims were identified.
The Greater Victoria School District says it's investigating allegations of inappropriate conduct by a teacher who taught at Oak Bay High and Mount Doug Secondary School. It says the teacher is on unpaid leave and banned from school properties and interacting with students. Police say she's awaiting trial and are asking any youths who had inappropriate contact with her to speak with them. They add there is help through victim services. BC's Education Ministry says the teacher has not been authorized to teach in BC since the investigation began. A federal court judge has now tossed out a challenge that would have stopped the killing of about 400 ostriches on a BC farm that suffered an outbreak of avian flu. The farm calls the decision devastating and hopes to keep fighting in court. Lawyers for Universal Ostrich Farms argued the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's cull order was unreasonable and unfair. Farm owners claimed many birds had recovered and did not pose a wider risk. The court has now ruled the agency's decisions were both reasonable and procedurally fair, and the cull would go ahead. Almost 9 million birds have been killed at hundreds of BC farms since the first outbreak of a highly contagious form of avian flu in 2022. BC's opposition is questioning why the province quietly hired a former Ontario cabinet minister to be its new downtown Eastside czar at a sizable cost. As Katie DeRosa reports, critics argue the secrecy around his appointment could hurt his work.
For decades, governments of various stripes have tried to address the poverty, mental health, and addiction plaguing people in Vancouver's downtown east side. Premier David Eby's solution? Tapping Michael Bryant, a former Ontario Attorney General and past head of Legal Aid BC, to be the so-called czar of the downtown east side. But the appointment, first reported by Global News, has come under scrutiny. Bryant was quietly installed in February, a 6-month contract worth $150,000, plus a $25,000 expense allowance.
We've been told nothing.
Service providers in the downtown east side say the secrecy has been problematic.
There's lots of places you don't want to have a rumor mill going. The downtown east side is certainly one of them.
I think it's an unfortunate start to something that has some hope towards it.
The appointment is also a surprise to Vancouver's mayor. Ken Sim says he wasn't consulted, saying, quote, "Given the seriousness of the situation, we believe transparency and clarity around this role are crucial." Bryant's appointment dominated question period Tuesday.
$150,000 for 6 months of work, $25,000 worth of expenses on the backs of our most vulnerable people on the downtown east side.
Bryant declined an interview with CBC News. BC's Poverty Reduction Minister refused to say whether the Premier handpicked Bryant.
Did the Premier tap into this work?
Michael Bryant has been hired to do the work that was outlined in the information bulletin.
Bryant was well known in Ontario political circles in the early 2000s, serving as Attorney General under Liberal Premier Dalton McGuinty. In 2009, Bryant was charged with criminal negligence in connection with a road incident that left a Toronto cyclist dead. The charges were later dropped. Bryant has been public about his recovery from alcohol addiction. Malcolmson says that lived experience is key to the work he's doing. Last year, Bryant abruptly stepped down as CEO of Legal Aid BC after just 2 years on the job. Neither Legal Aid nor Malcolmson will say why. As for why Bryant's appointment wasn't made public, Malcolmson blames a miscommunication between her ministry and the Premier's office. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
BC's Forests Watchdog has found a wildfire service planned burn during the 2023 Downton Lake Fire was reasonable. An investigation was launched in November that year after 3 Gun Lake residents filed a complaint to the Forest Practices Board. The group raised concerns the August 1st planned burn contributed to the loss of more than 40 homes. The original blaze was first discovered on July 13th on steep wooded terrain between Downton and Gun Lakes. The Squamish-Lillooet Regional District said 56 properties were hit, 43 of them destroyed. To the gridiron now, here's something that will faux shizzle excite BC Lions fans. Yes, Snoop D-O-double-G will headline the BC Lions home opener next month here in Vancouver. The platinum-selling California rapper will perform at BC Place Stadium on June 7th before the Lions take on the Edmonton Elks. Lions owner Amar Doman says he's excited to host one of the most entertaining and decorated rap performers of all time to kick off the Leo's 71st season. Last year's home opener, featuring a pregame show from rapper 50 Cent, brought in a record crowd of almost 54,000 people. Still ahead, outdoor public pools in Surrey are now open for the season, and they're free. But you might run into trouble finding lessons for kids. That story's next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
CBC celebrates Asian Heritage Month through the language of movement, where every step tells a story. Throughout the month of May, we're shining a spotlight on Asian dance groups, showcasing the dynamic blend of classical, folk, and contemporary dance forms. These talented dance groups share their cultural heritage through stories and traditions, knowledge, and technique. Read and watch their stories at cbc.ca/BC.
With summer inching closer every day, outdoor pools in Metro Vancouver are beginning to welcome visitors. Surrey swimming pools are now officially open and they're free. But as John Hernandez explains, if you're hoping to book swimming lessons, instructors say good luck.
It's opening day for outdoor public pools in Surrey, and a small but dedicated bunch are there for first splash.
It's a nice day.
It's a nice day because it's very hot, and it's our first time being here.
Well, this summer. This year so far.
Yeah.
It's great exercise and sensory for those guys. So
3 Surrey pools now open and more expected in the coming days. All of them free for the duration of the summer, a unique perk in Metro Vancouver.
A free opportunity for like a public swim is great for our community. It reduces any sort of barriers that it may have financially on anybody, and allows people to come swim in a safe setting.
Other outdoor pools in the region, including in Vancouver, are scheduled to open as soon as the Victoria Day long weekend. Those looking for swim lessons are urged to move fast.
There is quite a competition to get into any of the swimming lessons in any of the cities, not just the city of Surrey. And we do encourage people to make sure that they're signing up for the level that's appropriate for them.
High demand that instructors say comes amid a concerning rise in BC drownings that typically happen from May through August. More than 100 people drowned in BC in 2023. 2024 numbers are expected later this year. The Life Saving Society says newcomers can be particularly vulnerable. Just last month, international student Rahul Ranwa drowned while swimming at Wreck Beach near UBC.
We are seeing new Canadians at a higher risk of drowning. This might be due to not having the same water safety culture in their previous country or the same access to water.
If you are going swimming outdoors in the lakes, oceans, rivers, please read the signs. Beware of where you are swimming.
Registration for lessons opens up in the coming days, a survival skill during the hot summer months. John Hernandez, CBC News, Surrey.
The 13th annual Mosaic Job Fair has drawn thousands of people to New Westminster. It usually attracts a big crowd, but this year the lines are even longer. Our Michelle Gomez spoke with some of those looking for work.
The Mosaic Job Fair is bustling, as you can see behind me. There was a line down the block this morning. Organizers say over 3,000 job seekers are coming out today. David Lee is the Director of Employment and Languages with Mosaic. He says the turnout has gotten bigger in recent years, and young people and newcomers in particular face barriers in the job search.
We know that the unemployment rate has been steadily increasing. There's increased pressure on companies. A lot of them are making decisions not to hire as quickly. So an event like this makes a big difference.
We spoke to prospective job seekers waiting in line.
And everyone is kind of struggling right now, especially I think with the world's economic situation kind of has made things worse.
It is very tough because the market is very competitive, and unless you have connections, you wouldn't get in.
Trying to make our ends meet and also trying to contribute to the society positively.
June Cho's job is to connect university students with work opportunities. She says the job market is especially tough for international students.
The people that come to job fair definitely grow a lot, and then the line has been getting bigger, and I've seen a lot of people that with great experience, very competitive resumes, and still struggling finding a job.
This year marks the 13th time the event has been held. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, New West.
The view from Hanson Island off the coast of northern Vancouver Island. And we've got a cruise ship in there, a mix of sun and clouds sparkling the waters. There is rain on the way, though. Darius has your BC-wide weather forecast right after this. All right, we're going to give him a minute.
Timing. Yeah.
He gets so choked up when he does this. It's all right. Our science and climate specialist, Darius Madavi, here with the BC Weather Forecast. A lot of people have some coughs, myself included. It's no fun. But you're good to go.
I ate a Sour Patch Kid before I came up here, and that was my mistake. I'm just so choked up to be here with all of you.
You couldn't just stick with black licorice like normal people do.
Sorry about that, everybody. I'm here to talk about the fire danger, first of all, because it is still high up in the northeast. Although we are seeing some lightning down in the south in places where, fortunately, the fire danger has come down. And luckily, most of it doesn't look like dry lightning. We've got some showers happening in parts of the southern interior right now, as well as in the southeast, where, again, we have seen a couple lightning strikes. Most of those lightning strikes in the southern interior, just west of Penticton so far, but we may continue to see those over the next few hours as well. Over here on the south coast, though, southwestern BC, not really much to speak of. Over the next couple days, tomorrow we may see a shower on parts of the island and here on the lower mainland in the morning. Would be pretty brief and move off pretty quickly. For the most part, we're dry tomorrow, a bit cloudy in the morning and then clearing up for the afternoon. Then that next wave of precipitation moves in for Thursday. Lots of rain coming to, not lots of rain, some rain coming to many areas. Totals aren't expected to be very high in most areas, but most places should get at least a shower. I'd say the South Island, probably the least likely place, but still possible there. And another chance comes this weekend, which we can see here a little bit more. Again, a few showers popping up in parts of the southern interior for tomorrow. It's really just some convective showers, maybe a thunderstorm there. And then mostly in the Okanagan areas where we have those thunderstorms most likely, as well as in the southeast. But for the most part, we're looking for those showers to spread some good rain to many areas, potentially even making it up to the piece where our fire danger is still high. Temperatures over the next couple days, as we get into Thursday, temperatures drop significantly, especially here on the coast. And then as we get into Friday, we see a bit of a drop over in the interior as well. Conditions across the province tomorrow, plenty of sunshine to go around, but again, a few showers in some places. And in terms of a 5-day forecast, Dan, pretty much alternating, flip-flopping, a little bit of shower activity possible tomorrow morning, but for the most part, just cloud, and then some showers Thursday and Saturday.
Okay. Can I have a Sour Patch Kid after the show?
Of course, yes. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
And thank you for being with us on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast on our free CBC Gem app, as well as on YouTube at our website, cbc.ca/BC. Have a great night. We'll see you Wednesday.